WNN.
Welcome to Mental Health Monday with Matters of the Mind. We are your hosts, Eileen Lemelman, licensed clinical social worker,
and Dr. Jill Schwartzberg, licensed psychologist. We are here to talk about issues related to mental health that affect all of us.
Join us each week with questions, concerns, and comments by calling in at 888-565-1470. So let's get on with the show.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Jill Schwartzberg, licensed psychologist.
Hi there. I'm Eileen Lemelman, licensed clinical social worker, your co-host. And today we're going to be talking about stress.
Yes, stress.
Yes, and so I was thinking, since last week we did the mindful breath, you want to do that again today?
Let's begin today with a breath. This week, I want to stress that we do it a little bit slower, maybe count in our minds to 4, and breathe into the belly. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. Should we give it a try?
Sure, absolutely. Okay. So let's do it. Lead it.
Okay.
Lead us, Jill.
Ready?
Okay.
Begin and
All
breathe
right.
in through the nose. 3, 4. Out through the mouth. Let's try it one more time. Out through the mouth. Great.
That really helps a lot, Jill. You
Wonderful.
know, just to really presence us and to be mindful about where we are and to just bring our energy right into the show. It was perfect.
Yes, it's great. Hope everybody out there was practicing with us.
Yes.
So if you want to talk about stress, let me tell you about this weekend. So stress can take many forms, as we know. And
Yes.
I put a big party together this weekend for my mother's 80th. Happy birthday, Ma. Happy 80th.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
And I was there, and it was great.
Yes.
It was a very special occasion, but I know what goes into planning a party like that.
That's right. So parties, dinners, affairs, all those things can be quite stressful, even though they're good things.
That's
They're
right.
fun, they're positive, they're uplifting, but it's a demand on the body, a demand on the mind, and that's what's the definition of stress?
Right, right. The definition is how the brain and the body respond to any demand.
That's right.
And every demand can be
That's right.
stressful.
That's right. Positive or negative.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, even living daily life, you know, just even daily responsibilities, stuff that's not going to, you know, really trigger us, but just living life can be very stressful.
so the routine stresses.
Yes.
Right? So routine stresses of maybe taking care of children and having a routine of that and getting them off to school and taking care of the house, or people who work, you know, getting to work, getting home from work, dealing with issues at work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All these things that we kind of just do routinely and we take for granted, they are stressful, and they're stressful on our mind and on our body.
And, you know, it's almost like a silent killer because you do it every day, slowly, day after day. And before you know it, months or even years go by and your body starts to feel different.
That's
It starts
right.
to break down.
That's right. So, you know, I was thinking this might be a great show for people to call in. We want you to call in with any questions and concerns. So call us at 888-565-1470 because stress affects us all. And, you know, if you have anything you want to talk about relating to stress, give us a call.
Yes.
So we talked about, you know, the daily responsibilities. What about, you know, the not so daily kinds of things, kinds of stressors in our lives, like divorce, like, you know, major changes in one's life, change of job, moving.
Yeah, there are so many. And, you know, it's also important to note that everyone responds to stress differently. You know, what you experience and what I experience from the same situation can be quite different. So that's also important to know. You really can't compare yourself. You just have to know your own body and know what's going on for yourself.
You know, it's so interesting because you were talking about your party this weekend
Yes.
and how it was so stressful to plan this party, even though it was a great occasion. So, you know, what was so interesting and so crazy and really quite sad was that came out of this wonderful party celebrating your mom's life, her 80th birthday. It was a great, great party. I got into the car and I got a text that someone in my family had passed away. And so that was really a stressor for me.
Yes.
And my, you know, kind of like that roller coaster of emotions that we go, that I was on and that we all might encounter.
Right. Yes. Talks about, right. So that's the stress triggers the body responds.
Right.
And what happens when we're stressed out? Our pulse gets faster.
Yes.
We start to
Perhaps breathe faster, our breath quickens.
our muscles get tense.
Yeah. I'm sure everyone can relate to these bodily kinds of reactions to stress. You know, like you actually feel your muscles tense sometimes if you're in a stressful situation or it's hard to breathe. And, you know, even though those are, you know, situational kinds of stressors, some people experience that all the time. And when we have stress all the time, that takes its toll on our body.
Absolutely. The brain needs more oxygen. So when you're stressed out and you are experiencing all of those symptoms, like your pulse going faster and, you know, your muscles tightening, your brain needs more oxygen. So it, you know, then what happens? What happens?
Yeah, so then what happens very often is when we're in a stressful situation and all those bodily functions are going on, nothing that we can control. You know, it's actually our system reacting. It's actually a way of, you know, fighting and flighting, you know, that fight or flight kind of situation. And we need that when we're in a stressful situation. But it also creates, you know, sometimes triggers other chemicals in the body to be released.
Right, like glucose. The body releases glucose when it's stressed out. So that raises blood sugar levels. And what happens when our blood sugar level is raised?
Yeah, when our blood sugar level is raised, we do release this cortisol, which ends up, you know, affecting the body so that we, you know, can't digest properly and we can't function properly. We can't metabolize.
Right. Hurts the immune system.
Absolutely. And, you know, I also wanted to talk about another kind of stress. And also want everybody to call in to talk about any kinds of stress that related questions and comments. 888-565-1470.
You know, sometimes we don't realize that things are stressful. They feel so normal that we don't realize that our body's breaking down over time until what are some of the signs of stress?
Right.
You know, we can't sleep. Our eating's off. We're tired all the time.
Yeah.
I know you were going to talk about a different, I'm sorry, I took you off track.
Yeah, that's all right. You know, because this topic is so multifaceted.
Yes.
It's so personal as well as, you know, general. But I was also going to talk about another kind of stress, and that, you know, a very, very important kind of stress that we really react to trauma with a stress reaction. So even like a car accident can be very stressful, obviously. And, you know, it really puts us in a cycle of, you know, body reacting, mind reacting. Sometimes we can't even come down off of the trauma. And that's when we get really, really always triggered over and over. Of course, that could lead to post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes. Well, trauma is a whole different area of stress that the body holds on to for a very long time. And the body actually has a memory.
Yes.
You know, more than our brain. It's, well, body and brain, of course, are the same thing. It has its own memory. So it gets re-triggered often, after the traumatic event.
That's right. That's right. And so, when we're triggered over and over and over again by a variety of different stressors in our lives, as we were talking about, it does affect our body with high blood pressure, heart problems. And of course, diabetes can also be triggered by stress.
Right.
When we were talking about the glucose, the elevated glucose. And then, of course, the anxiety and depression that kicks in when we're very stressed.
And weight gain. People don't realize that when they're stressed, they gain weight. And that's one of the reasons why people gain weight is they become very stressed out. And their glucose level rises, and then they eat more.
Not to mention that they use it as a coping mechanism also to manage their stress.
Right.
So we all have different ways that we manage our stress or try to manage our stress. Some healthy, some not so healthy.
Right. And like we said before, even good events, positive events can be extremely stressful. Celebrations, right? Graduations.
Well, actually, you bring up a good point because all these life cycle events, while they're really happy and fun and wonderful, they're also very emotional.
Yes.
And can also not only trigger a lot of joy, it can trigger sadness too when we have these life cycle events.
Right.
And that's stressful.
Yes. Giving birth, deaths.
I know for me, a lot of times when I have these life cycle events, my parents aren't around anymore. And so that's sad and that's triggering and that's stressful for me at times.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about how to manage our stress. What can we do? So we're all stressed out over good things and not such good things and routine things and traumatic things and, life cycle stuff. And why is it important to learn how to manage stress? I mean, why should we learn how to manage it?
Well, what we talked about is, really the toll it takes on our body and the kind of emotional spin that it causes us to go into sometimes. But even before we get to that, we have to recognize the signs of stress. Like you said earlier, sometimes we don't even realize that we are, stressed out. And so sometimes, and like you said, the body has a memory. So the body will inform us of being in a stressful situation, a stressful mode. We don't even realize that sometimes.
Well, we also have to be in tune with the body. So many people don't realize they're not in touch with their body, that it doesn't feel well. They keep going, and they push themselves. So it's really important. So in order to be in tune with your body, there are lots of things to do to recognize signs of stress.
Yes. So, of course, one way that shows up very often is disturbed sleeping.
Yes.
A lot of times people are unable to sleep, or they wake up in the middle of the night with a start. Or, they can't fall back asleep and their mind starts racing. I get that very often with my patients. They say their mind just can't shut off. That's really a sign of stress. It could be a sign of other things also, but it's really a sign of stress.
Right. And it's very important, and I'd like to say this now, and I'll say it again, always consult a physician, because you can have body signs, pains in your body, because we know that stress creates that glucose, which creates inflammation, so you then begin to get pains in different parts of the body. Always consult your physician. Never take it for granted that it's just stress.
That's right. You and I are both really, really very definite about that people come to us with a variety of different symptoms, and we can very often, and I think doctors do also sometimes chalk it off to, oh, you're just anxious, you're
just
nervous, you're just stressed out. But we really do want to check out if it's physical. We want to rule that out, because once that's ruled out, then we can start looking at different kinds of tools and coping mechanisms and different kinds of ways to handle your stress.
Right, which leads us into how do we manage stress? Do we want to take a short break?
So maybe we should take a short break.
If anybody's
remember to call in 888-565-1470. And we'll see you after the commercial
If a tree
break.
falls in the woods and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound?
Matters of the Mind is brought to you by Authentically Hemp. If you suffer from pain, insomnia, or anxiety, and want an alternative to prescribed medication, please visit us at authenticallyhemp.com.
$800. That's CAFE 280-800.
You have been listening to Matters of the Mind.
If you would like to participate in the discussion, please call us at 888-565-1470. Now let's get back to Matters of the Mind. So here we are back talking about stress.
Yes.
And we kind of gave everybody a definition of stress and, different kinds of stress. And we were talking about recognizing signs of stress.
All right. Let's talk about recognizing some of those signs.
Yeah, because sometimes people aren't even aware that they are so stressed by different kinds of triggers.
Mm-hmm.
So, we talked about sleep, and I really want to talk about an important aspect of recognizing stress, which is an increase in alcohol use or substance abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that happens and we're not even aware it's because we're reacting to something very stressful in our lives.
Yes, right. And food. Sometimes we begin to self-soothe with food. Does it
Absolutely.
increase in weight or decrease in weight?
Mm-hmm.
Some people avoid and don't eat.
Yes, yes. And then, sometimes people are really angry and irritable, and actually their family members and people around them will notice it and they don't understand why.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of, really concerned about their, family member. They don't understand. So actually right now we have somebody calling in, and I think Kara's on the line. Kara?
Hi.
Hi, Kara.
Hi, Kara.
How are you guys?
We're good.
We're
How are
good.
you? Thanks for calling in. How can we help you today?
Well, speaking of stress, today was a pretty stressful day. But I kind of was curious more or less on the effects of, being physical exercise and stress. And
That's a
the
great
effects of
question.
it.
Actually, we were just going to begin to talk about managing stress, and you're bringing up a great point. So exercise is a wonderful way to manage stress, and it doesn't have to be extremely vigorous. It can be a walk.
Even a little walk outside for 30 minutes.
I tell people to dance in their house. Just
Yes.
get your body moving.
Right.
Put on some music, move your body, get those neurotransmitters going, get the serotonin going, and your body then becomes relaxed. So you're bringing up a great point.
Yeah, I also tell people, a lot of times people who are stressed really can't even get into, don't want to and can't get to a gym or organized or structured kind of exercise. So I tell my patients, you know what? Park really far away from the store and take a nice walk to the store.
Absolutely.
Just moving your body and exercise that way is just a way to, release some of and get off some of that extra excess stress that we deal with all the time.
We're so used to just hopping in the car instead of taking a walk, especially down here in Florida. Probably because it's so hot, but it's one of the reasons.
Right. And you'll notice that not only does that help with the stress in the body, but it boosts the mood.
Mm-hmm. I hope that helped, Kara.
Yes, thanks. I'm going to try that tomorrow on my lunch break, actually.
Great.
That's a great idea.
Yes.
Walking during lunch, even if it's for 15 minutes, really helps to manage the stress of the day.
And you know what, Kara? Just want to say one thing about that. We're in this day and age where very often people don't take lunch breaks.
That's right.
They sit at their computer and they, work through lunch. And
Keep
the
on
stress
going.
builds and builds. And you know what? Get away from that computer, that desk, and take that little walk. Great. Let us know how you do
Yeah.
with that, Kara.
Thank you.
I'd probably go crazy if I didn't. Thank you guys.
Okay.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
for calling in. So again, watch your sugar intake, watch your alcohol intake when you're stressed out. Stay connected. Important one. Don't isolate. I think there's a tendency when we're stressed out, just go into our own head
That's so true.
and really connecting to people helps so much to relax.
And it doesn't, it could be a friend, it could be a family member, but of course, it could be a professional too.
Yes.
And so we want to encourage that, there's a lot of ways to stay connected. I also wanted to mention staying connected with self. Because, yes, staying connected with people and not isolating is so important. But, I find staying connected with myself in a variety of ways. Journaling,
Right. Yoga.
yoga.
Yoga's wonderful. Doing some meditation. Let's
Of
go back to the
course.
mindful meditation.
Yes, mindful meditation, which we are so encouraging because we do that in our office.
Yes, every other week on Wednesday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. with acupuncture.
Right. Next one is March 13th.
Right.
And we'll say that at the end of the show, too,
Right.
just to remind you.
I also want to point out how animals help with stress. Animals are a great thing to have if you can take care of animals and have the finances to feed them and you have the ability to walk them and really care for them. But there's such a great way of helping people cope with anxiety and depression. So many of my patients have animals that really help them a tremendous
Well, there's a
amount.
lot of evidence that, studies done, and it's evidence-based, that
Yes.
actually petting an animal, whether it be a dog or a cat, even a bird, petting an animal lowers your blood pressure and relaxes you. There's something about that kind of motion and that connection, of course, but the motion of petting that's so soothing for people.
Yes, it's a wonderful thing. And I know I write letters sometimes for people, who come into the office.
Right, they need to bring it on, the plane or just going into public offices or buildings, to get an emotional support animal.
I want to reemphasize taking care of self.
Yes.
That's, you and I are really big proponents of it. We really push for it. I know that we engage in good self-care, taking the time. If you have to schedule it in, schedule it in. I know last time we talked about, of course, taking those wonderful hot baths with bubbles and some oils, but really scheduling, and you get so caught up in your day-to-day life, you forget to take care of yourself.
You are so right. And actually, a really good practice is to write in your calendar,
Absolutely.
scheduling in that this time I am going to, because once it's written down, you're committed to it.
Yes.
And so you're going to write it on the calendar and you're going to really commit to that time. And it could be anything from taking a walk to taking a bubble bath, whatever it is. You have to set aside time to schedule that in.
Well, exercise definitely needs to be scheduled in because it's very easy for people to avoid doing that because it takes a lot of energy. So if you schedule it in, it helps.
Absolutely.
A great deal. Let's not forget
Yeah.
about our CBD.
Our CBD,
Authentically
our
hemp.
industrial hemp that we use so often. I mean, we really recommend for people who are highly anxious to use, some CBD, whether it be at night before they go to bed to help them sleep, or whether it's during the day to just lower their anxiety level. And, we're getting unbelievable reports back that it is doing the job.
Yes. And for sleep, you said that, inflammation.
Inflammation,
For pain.
too, for pain and
Right.
inflammation.
That's
Do you
a
want to
big one.
just, just briefly mention what CBD is, because part of what we're doing also is educating people about it.
Yeah, so Authentically Hemp, our company, is industrial hemp, which is made from the seeds, the leaves, the flowers, the stalks, and it contains vitamins, amino acids, omega-3, omega-6, and it's full spectrum. And to help people know that hemp and marijuana are both part of the cannabis family, but they're different plants. Same
That's right.
species, but different plants, and that's important to know. And hemp is not psychoactive.
Yeah.
So you do not get high from hemp.
No.
What were we reading the other day? You could take a whole bunch of it, and the worst that will happen is you'll get a bad headache.
Right, if you take too much. But
Right.
basically, we have not gotten any reports of that. And it's just another way. I mean, we love essential oils also. There's certain essential oils like lavender that reduces stress. You were, smelling something before.
Yes, a little serenity here.
Oh, it's a blend of different oils.
Yes, it's
Sometimes
wonderful.
just smelling that oil is really, really can lower your stress. And of course, listen, we have to find things that make us really happy and joyful, because that lowers our stress level.
Right, and with little side effects. That's why I love the hemp, because there's no side effects. I get, maybe a little fatigue, brings the energy down a little bit, but that's what helps to relax you, lower the anxiety, and helps with sleep.
Absolutely.
And to know that the full spectrum hemp has less than 0.3% THC, which is perfectly legal. And also hemp can be used in clothing, automobile stuff,
Plastics,
construction.
yes, I know.
Right.
So it's
Right.
not for medicinal and recreational use.
Like marijuana.
Yeah,
is.
like marijuana is. So I
Yes.
just also, before we end today,
We
which I
got to
can't
talk about our
believe,
center.
must talk about our center. We are the Center for Authentic Living, located at 1200 Northwest 17th Avenue in Delray Beach.
Suite 13.
And come to our website, www.centerforauthenticliving.com, where you will see a variety of different workshops that will come up, and it'll also explain who we are, holistic mental health therapists.
And Saturday, March 23rd, is a half-day paint journaling workshop from 9 to 12:30.
That's right.
Please join us. Call our center
And also, at the phone number,
561-265-5738. Thank you, everybody.
bye-bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to Matters of the Mind with Eileen Lemelman, licensed clinical social worker.
And Dr. Jill Schwartzberg, licensed psychologist, where you can call us each week for Mental Health Monday.
If you are in crisis or experiencing an emergency, please call 911.
Or contact us at the Center for Authentic Living at 561-265-5738.
We will see you next week with another exciting episode of Matters of the Mind.